Hi, I'm Erica Paz. So I watched the Hans Rosling Magic Washing Machine video and also the Cheryl Wooden Our Century's Greatest Injustice. And for the Hans Rosling video, I thought it was really interesting how 2 billion of the population, the whole world, live above the wash line while 5 billion live below it. And I found it really interesting that, again, less than half of the population live above the wash line, meaning that they own a clothes washer in their house or wherever they live, while the rest of the population live below it. They don't own one. And I always wonder why that is. And I think it just goes back to the Guns, Germs, and Steel video and how the greatest inequality is land and geography and just how production occurred and where that got them in this life. And Hans Rosling, he said that over about half of the energy is used by 1/7 of the population, which is so interesting because it goes back to how much do we really need and should we really use that much? Again, I think that the first thing that we all think is that we should cut back and we should help the other countries who don't have as much as we do. But I think that will also impede on the self-reliance of those other countries, and it might do them a disfavor in the sense that it'll create It'll create a sense of reliance and dependence on us, and maybe they should just try figure out on their own, or we want to help. That's usually like the first step in instinct when we hear about this kind of thing, is to help others who don't have as much. But we should really figure out how much we should help and why we should help them and in what way. He said that the only way to increase the energy consumption is through population growth. I messed that up. He said that the population growth and economic growth will increase energy consumption. So he would say that we should increase economic growth, but we should also learn to cut back and use energy efficient machines and different utilities like that. The main point, I think, it wasn't the main point, but another point that I thought was really interesting was that the use of washing machines helps create more time for mothers to give to their children, like reading books and teaching them how to read, maybe even. And I thought that was really interesting because he was saying that mothers usually do the laundry and do the washing because the father usually works. It's not the normal thing, but it's the most common thing that happens. And through that, I think if mothers can be more able to stay at home and help their children and progress and gain education, then the better our economy will do in the future. In the Cheryl Wooden video, she talked about the great inequality between male and females, and she said how there are 60 to 100 million missing females in this entire world. And she said that more girls were discriminated to death than all of the people in all of the battlefields. And that was a huge shocker to me. I have never thought of it that way. I didn't even know that. But she said a lot of that, like, part of it could be with abortion and maternal health mortality and how that can affect the rating of the girls in the population. She noted that in some countries, there are some girls who are really impoverished. You could see the bones not sticking out, but you could see their bones through their skin. And while their brothers, the boys of the family, they were completely fine and they had enough food and whatnot. And so I thought that was really interesting why men or boys, I guess in general, are just so much more favored than girls. And I think it's because the country thinks that they're not as good, they won't be as productive or useful in the future. But studies have shown plenty of times that women who may get an education and get a job can substantially help the economy and help flip it around. So I think it's kind of funny that the solution to the problems that we have is the one thing that we're not using. So I wonder if anyone should let those countries know about it, because I think America has had their times where we have struggled with gender equality, but we've passed that, and maybe we should help other countries learn that, through example maybe, that this is the solution, not the problem. They also talked about how education is the highest return on investment in the developing world for females. And again, that just leads back to how women who have an education are the solution, and we shouldn't use that as a problem because that will cause so many other problems in the world. They also said that more women who have an education tend to get married later and then tend to have less children, which can cut back on the population and can help solve the problem for overpopulation, because that can lead to poverty. And so it's really interesting how just it all links back together, that women need to have an education and they shouldn't be discriminated for something so important and eternal. And Cheryl Wadun concluded with, why should we care about this? Why should we care about other countries and their problems when we have problems of our own in our own country? And she said that it will elevate our happiness, and because we have such great fortune, we are so blessed, we also have the responsibility to help others as well. And that definitely goes back to Christ's main principle, just to give service and help others who can't help themselves. And yeah, I think that ultimately all women have an education, and it kind of comes back to, or it makes me think about me and my own education and how I can be beneficial for the future. Maybe not universally, but maybe just like within my own home or within my family or friends, I could be a good example, and I could help others, and those around me, I could help them get an education too. And so I really need to take more care and importance in my education. And yeah, thank you.